Hello again. I suggest we go ahead and get started. Welcome to the BBBA panel discussion on how to attract top talents. My name is Desislava Miteva. I'm the Executive Director of the British Bulgarian Business Association, and it is my pleasure to be your host and moderator of today's panel discussion. We have probably all organizations saying that they regard talent to be the top priority for their organization. Today, we have invited three of our members who are actually living this motto in their everyday life. You will hear from Teach For Bulgaria, Manpower Bulgaria, and William Hill Bulgaria. Today, you can see that we are presenting to you, to your attention, a platform that we are using for the first time. I would like to thank our partners from Loungy for partnering with us today for this event. You can see that this platform gives a lot of opportunities for interaction between the participants. We have actually done a lot of online events and webinars in the past year. And what we have seen as the biggest challenge is the opportunity between the attendees to interact among each other and to interact with the speakers. I believe this platform gives a good opportunity for exactly this interaction. So explore, have a look at all the attendees that you will see in the attendees section. You can also, of course, ask questions to all the panelists in the Q&A section that you will see under each topic in today's agenda. Also, you can review the profiles of our speakers and partners in today's event at the exhibitors panel. Now, I would like to thank all our annual sponsors. If we could see the next slide. Thank you very much. So the British Bulgarian Business Association is supported by 6 annual sponsors who make actually the events that we organize to be accessible to everyone in our membership free of charge, like today's event, for example. I would like to thank Deloitte, Athlon, Cleves, Landmark, Bulgaria Insurance, AXA, and Novotel Hotel and Resort Sofia for supporting us throughout the year. And now, without further ado, I would like to introduce our panelists in today's panel discussion. Today, there will not be any PowerPoint presentations. We will have a conversation on probably the most important topic today, also yesterday, and I'm sure the same topic will be the most relevant one going forward. We will be talking how to attract top talents in our organizations, and we will go through the recruitment, selection, onboarding, and retention part of the process. I am very delighted to introduce to you our 3 panelists, 3 ladies with a lot of experience in the field of human resources. I will start with Nelly Kocheva, who is head of admissions at Teach For Bulgaria. Nelly is head of admissions. She joined the team in 2012, and she considers the mission of the organization to ensure equal access to quality education as her own mission. She recruits and selects motivated professionals to become teachers by joining a program, A New Way for Teaching. Prior to joining Teach For Bulgaria, Nelly worked as a deputy team leader, training and supporting customer service department of one of the biggest telecommunication operators in the country. She holds a bachelor's degree in geography and biology and an MBA in human resources development from Sofia University. Nelly will be telling you a bit more about Teach For Bulgaria once she gets during the panel discussion. And also one fun fact about Nelly. She is a collector of vintage alarm clocks. So if you have any interest or any questions regarding vintage alarm clocks, she is the expert on today's panel on that. And something that I'm personally very much interested in, and she promised me to have a conversation about that after today's session, is recipes for low-carb desserts. So something that is quite interesting as well. Next to Nelly, we have Rosalia Stoilova, who is the HR Solutions Partner Assert at Manpower Bulgaria. Rosalia, thank you for joining us today. She's a professional with background in psychology and more than 7 years of experience in the field of human resources. Currently, in the role of HR Solutions Partner in Manpower Group Bulgaria, she's working on projects with scope on assessment, development, and career transition, certified for debriefing and coaching, and employee development for the Harrison assessments methodology. Actually, another funny thing that I would like to share for all of our participants in today's panel, just to break the ice a little bit. Actually, Rosalia's interest in psychology started when she was only 8 years old, when her parents agreed to let a PhD student assess her as a case study for her thesis in childhood development. And ever since, she's been very much interested and willing to develop a career in psychology. And last but not least, I would like to introduce Sevelina Papasova, who is the HR manager at William Hill, Bulgaria. She joined William Hill in 2019. The company is founded in the UK over 80 years ago, and it is the most recognized and trusted brand in the global sports betting and gaming market. Actually, as an HR, she's playing a typical role, leading role in attracting top talents in the organization. The company, as well as Sevelina, are very proud of their strong culture of empowerment and improvement, and HR teams are trusted partners at each step of the company's journey. A fun fact about William Hill: they started at the very beginning of the pandemic, a designated time at 5 p.m. every Thursday for a recurring event, which they call HR Wine Catch Up, and they stick to it for already a year. That's actually a good tip that maybe more organizations would like to start. So this is the short introduction of our panelists. I will not take any more time. I would like to kick off the discussion today with the topic of recruitment. I'm sure all of you will agree that in the past already 13 months, a lot has changed in the field of recruitment. And I would like to invite our panelists to tell us a little bit more what is the focus in their organization when it comes to recruitment of top talent. I will start with Sevelina now. Sevelina, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Desi. Hi, everyone. Nice to virtually meet you. Okay, when speaking about recruitment, we were not completely unprepared about a year ago because targeting talents by using lots of different recruitment channels, agencies, internet portals, social media, refer a friend program didn't significantly change for us, as before the pandemic we were doing this in the same manner. That was also the time for participation in earlier planned career events, so we adapted there together with our partners who had switched to virtual events, and these virtual events appeared to be as much effective as the traditional ones. However, before we were not just reluctant, but simply never considering the option to go ahead with making new hires without meeting the candidates in person. And that was applicable both for the language assessments and for the interviews. However, shortly after we closed our office, we needed to quickly find that there are other still effective ways to recruit, and moved on to online assessments and video-based interviews. We realized it's simply more comfortable and expect that even after returning to the physical working from the office to continue applying some of these virtual options. One of the most important targets we had at that stage was to build virtual relationship between the candidate and the William Hill recruiter, similar to the trust and reliance the candidates usually would have found when meeting in person. And I think I can say we managed with this one by being open, timely, and responsive so that our candidates to get answers to all their queries during the application process.
Thank you so much, Sevelina. A lot has been going on, and being prepared is always a good thing. Nelly, how did the recruitment of teachers in Teach for Bulgaria change in the past 12 months?
Yeah. Thank you, Desislava. So in Teach for Bulgaria, when we talk about recruitment, we mean mostly three main aspects of our job. This is the attraction and the sourcing of candidates. It's also the employer branding and the overall candidate experience and the cultivation or the building of motivation of candidates. So as all of other organizations, we are looking for and attracting top talents for a different job for them to become teachers into the most challenging schools in Bulgaria. As William Hill, before the COVID situation, we were not exactly unprepared because we were already testing and utilizing technology in order to be more effective into the recruitment process. So that allowed us to adapt really quickly when the pandemic closed everything. And over a weekend, we changed the selection process and made it entirely virtually, which was great. But my main question for the next year for the world currently is what should we keep virtually once the world starts to open again, and what should we do physically, and what did we learn from this process, and how can we be better in the future? Some of the successes that we had regarding virtual recruitment, switching to online promotion enabled us to attract a better range of applicants, better diverse applicant pool, because our live events were mostly in the big cities or some of the bigger universities. Now we can reach candidates from all over the world and from every university that is in Bulgaria. So we reached more candidates and we managed to receive more applications than ever. In Teach for Bulgaria, we do our recruitment, selection, matriculation, or onboarding and retention entirely in-house. By in-house recruiters. So the overall recruitment cost was lower. Online promotion and running online events is actually cheaper, and the investment is maybe 10 times lower than doing physical events. So recording and streaming events also was a good decision, because candidates could watch the event later if they couldn't attend to a certain time. Some of the challenges that we had was actually with virtual career fairs. What we heard also from our partners from all over the world, from the Teach for All network, was that career fairs are not that well attended, not like our webinars and our own events. So our own events were really good attended, but the career fairs where we meet new candidates and expand our pool of candidates, of talents, people who didn't heard about us previously, is it's limited currently. And before I finish, I would like to share actually the results from the UK's top 100 employers, the High Flyers research, regarding what the graduating students experienced during the year, what they want for the future. Only 28% of the final year graduates in the UK attended a virtual career fair. And only 33% of them attended the employer presentation to get to know a company. 82% of them want for the selection to become live again, to return to employers' offices, and 87% want a blended approach where recruitment and selection can be both online and in person. So I would like to finish with that and give you some food for thought.
Thank you very much, Nelly, also for touching on the question, what are some of the good practices that we learned in the past 12 months that we want to continue going forward? Rosalia, what changed at Manpower? You're working on with a lot of employers in different sectors. Can you give us a hint about their way of recruiting in the past year?
Yes, absolutely. We saw a very, very different picture last year. We saw a period of transition. We saw a period of adaptation to the new normal. And what I can say is because remember we're diversified into segmented teams who are specialized in certain industries, as we saw different pictures in the different industries, and even in the same industry, but in different types of companies. While some were quick to adapt, others continued to try to hire in the old way. I'm speaking about industries where it is first line types of positions where it's traditional type of recruitment is still present to the extent that it can be, of course, according to measures, etc. But we also saw a very quick adaptation to the companies where it was possible to do the job online and the recruitment online. And what we saw is virtualization, digitalization in terms of tools, automizing of different processes in order to reach talent faster. Exactly what Nelly mentioned. Employers saw that they were not restricted to location of the candidate, but they could use remote work. They saw that it could be done for different types of positions. So this diversified their options to search for the right people at a lot more places and with a bigger span. What we also saw is how important employer branding became. It was important before, of course, because we were speaking about talent shortage, but it became even more important, especially for companies who needed to reduce their staff. For a certain period, it came to be a focal point. What employer branding is, how we utilize employer branding, how we present our company to candidates. Because right now we have a shortage of need for staff, but later we're going to hire more, and we want to keep a good employer branding. We saw very different types of pictures in the different industries and different companies, but there were new challenges definitely, and one of the biggest challenges is that while the recruitment process is very much optimized when it's digitalized, it becomes more difficult to actually, even for higher positions, for niche types of positions, to ascertain whether a person is the right fit for the role, because you have only a limited amount of time with that person in order to make the decision, and you lack the physical meeting of this person. You lack the opportunity to expand your perspective on the in-depth characteristics, the values of this person, the engagement factors of this person, the soft skills even. It's just shortened. So what we did was utilize different assessment techniques in order to be able to get a more in-depth picture about the personality and the needs and the wants of the profiles, in order to make sure that we're making the best hiring decisions.
Thank you very much, Rosalia, for walking us through a number of different industries. It's clear that the different industries have different needs, and some of them adapt better than others to the new realities. I'm wondering, a question to all three of you. Is there more talent available on the market now compared to 1 year ago? Did it change in terms of your view? Is it easier to recruit today? I don't mean actually the techniques you're using, but the availability of talent on the market. And before I give you the floor, I would like to encourage our participants also to ask questions in the Q&A tab under the screen that you see. Who would like to start first? Sevelina, go ahead.
Yeah, I will, because I can imagine that being part of one industry, I can give an overview of the BPO sector. Well, not considering March and April last year, when actually there was a shock, and people were not quite sure whether to apply, whether to look for a job, or whether to change the job. Now, having a year of experience, the market is similar. We have the similar number of candidates applying. We more or less keep the ratio between applicants and finally approved colleagues. So yes, I would say it is the same. Maybe there were some deviations during the year, but now, a year later, when everybody had experienced different things, now it's similar. The market is similar to what it was, let's say, in the beginning of 2020, at least our market. I'm not sure how is with the rest of the ladies.
Thank you, Sevelina. What was, Nelly, what was your observation on the market in the past 12 months?
Thank you. So I can say that now we have more interest in our program than ever, because I think mainly because we offer something that the people are looking for. We offer a program which combines leadership development of participants in itself with a cause, with a mission, with a sense of meaning. And I think people are looking for that, looking for additional meaning and impact of their job. So yeah, we had this year, we had an amazing pool of candidates, but as we mentioned before, employer branding is a key for this, because our 10 years that we built that brand started to pay off just right now, because people recognize us as an organization which will allow them to both develop themselves and have an impact to others.
Thank you, Nelly. Rosalia, did your job become a little bit easier in the past 12 months? Are there more people on the market searching for new opportunities?
What I can say again is that it's a very diversified picture, but I noticed another trend with candidates, and it is that they are a bit more prone to actually searching confidentially for a job. Well, before this period of time, we were speaking about confidential search from employers. More and more, we're consulting candidates who don't want to outright apply via job boards, via admissions to different types of job positions and openings. Right now, what they would like to know is more about the company, more about the position, more about the security that the employer is going to provide, more about the flexible opportunities. People are more and more expecting work from home opportunities to be something of a trend that is going to continue. And of course, they are concerned about their own job security. They would not like for their employer to know that they are looking actively to change careers, to change jobs until they have something else secured.
I see. I understand. Thank you very much, ladies. Now I would like to walk you to the next topic in our panel discussion. We are going through the whole hiring process, and smoothly we move to selection. So I would like to invite you to comment on what changed in the past year in terms of the balance of skills and mindsets. How did the attitudes of the candidates changed, and what are some of the new techniques that you've been using in your work during the selection process? Going back to Sevelina.
I'm sorry, I'm just not a friend of this mute and mute button. Sorry for the delay, Daisy. Yeah, okay. Selection. We have a certain set of skills like communication, empathy, patience, listening capacity, which before, now, and most probably in the future are a must for people who would work in customer service. But it was important to look in addition to easy adaptive candidates, people who are flexible and ready to react in different situations, and at the same time, we didn't look for people who match all of our requirements 100%, because we have internal tools to work and upskill them. So even if somebody is not 100% fitting to the role, we would give him or her a chance, because one interview and one test is not always the time when you can present the best of yourself. And further on, our training teams and direct managers, um, they would see the gaps and fill them with appropriate training and mentoring and guidance, rather than straightly rejecting candidates from the very beginning. That was with us.
Thank you very much, Sevelina. Nelly, did you use new technology and new approaches in the selection process at Teach for Bulgaria?
Yeah, so in Teach for Bulgaria, we have a selection process of three main stages: online application, remote interview, and assessment center. And we are selecting between 6 and 10% of the candidates each year. So we are really a highly selective program. So before the pandemic, the first and the second stage, they were already online. But I can now see how the candidates are more open for this type of selection. Before the pandemic, doing an online interview with your camera switched on was something that not all of the candidates were familiar with and comfortable with. They were preferring to come to visit our office. Now it's easier. As I mentioned, our assessment center currently is virtual. We had to adapt the assessment center, and the most challenging criteria to adapt and to assess was the ability of the candidate to manage group dynamics, to participate into a group discussion, and to communicate effectively with others. So we introduced a group activity where we are observing not only the decisions that candidates make in a certain case, but interaction between them. Currently, to answer the question, I would say that mindsets are more important than skills, with the disclaimer, of course, that some professions they require some previous knowledge and some skills, but mindsets are the most crucial thing right now. And if I can say the three most important mindsets and skills that we are looking for into the candidates, first of all, it's perseverance or persistent. Unfamiliar, challenging situations are now part of our weekly routine, I can say. So we are looking for people who approach challenges with a positive attitude, who have the mindset to overcome challenges, and who have the skill to adapt. The other thing is leadership. As we see it, we need people who take initiative and who can inspire others with their ideas. Now more than ever, this is really important. And The last thing is continuous learning. I think is one of the most important things that we can look into the candidate. We are searching for a growth mindset. As Sevelina said, the skills can be learned if you have the ability and the willingness to learn. And our training is adapted so you can learn how to organize your time, but you cannot learn to I don't know, to take responsibility for your own actions and to see some mistakes that you make as a point for learning and to be better, not and to accept that you made a mistake and to learn how to be better in the future. So yeah, this is my opinion.
Thank you very
Mindsets
much.
over skills.
Thank you very much, Nelly. Actually, what I saw in the past year are some new trends that are becoming quite probably relevant in the market. For example, I'm a mentor of in a program organized by Chevening, and my mentee is based in her hometown, Târgoviște. We never met in person, but we are having these mentor-mentee sessions every few weeks. And one interesting thing that occurred in our conversation, she's been applying for an internship in the UK. She's studying at Bath University, and she mentioned that out of probably 20 positions that she applied for, she only had one live interview. The rest were video interviews. She was sent some questions in advance, and she had to make a video by responding to those questions and send them to the employer. Rosalia, is this a new technique that you're using as well, or is this something that is still not very prevalent on our market?
Well, what I can share is is indeed a funny story of this type of technique. Usually, yes, the final interview is live, where it can be, and there can be surprises. Actually, I've spoken with a decision maker once. A while ago, they've been having great online interviews, and then just on the final interview, a vastly different impression. Just personality in a face-to-face meeting, real meeting, can be perceived in a different way, in a more how to say, just different plans, different perspectives. You can see nonverbal communication. You can see how this person behaves before the meeting, after the meeting. While when in an online interview, you can see them up to the point where the connection drops. So there can be surprises. There can be surprises, definitely. What I can share is that right now it's more important than ever to have the culture fit, because when you are hiring, when you're selecting a person to become part of your virtual team, because we're speaking now of remote teams mainly, and this person needs to fit into your culture, needs to fit into your values, needs to fit into your style of communication, and to have expectations which are being met from the company, meaning the frequency of conversation with the team, the interaction with the leader. We're speaking now about remote leadership skills and the personality. We're speaking of capabilities of working remote, autonomous working, proactive attitude, learnability, definitely something very important. So these have been on focus, and I can say that in the past period, it has become more and more important to have the personality fit, exactly as my colleague said, more than the skills and expertise fit.
So do I understand correctly from what all of you are saying is that technology is becoming more and more relevant in the selection process? However, you cannot really eliminate the personal touch and the personal conversation in order to have successful selection. Is this something that you would agree on?
I would say,
Sevelina, Nelly, yeah, Rosalia?
I would say that there are techniques and there are tools that can help. especially when hiring for higher roles or for expert roles. There are additional personality assessments that can get you into this diverse picture of life themes, of preference focus of the person, of behavioral competences that can be assessed, of their engagement factors, what would motivate them personally, what their success rate would be when they're required to engage in certain behaviors and tasks. So you can still get a wider picture. You can get an idea of what this person would be like. But at the same time, I would say that personal contact, I don't believe that it's going to be less important.
Sevelina, do you agree with this?
Partially, yes, probably because a year later and while working for also an international team, I can hardly distinguish meeting in person than meeting in an online chat, video conference or something. Yeah, we hardly observed any differences from the ways candidates reacted during the interview and meeting afterwards in the office to pick up the equipment, to sign their contract, and to start the training. So in this direction, not exactly, but something interesting which I wanted to share with you was we uh, when providing online testings, language assessments to our candidates, we just needed to use technology and to add one additional steps, which was check the text in Google, because quite often well not quite often, but anyways we had cases when we find the essay which candidates should have prepared him or herself, and we find it being said by somebody else years ago. So yeah, that was the new thing for us.
Interesting. Lily, what changed in your world?
Yeah, the thing that Sevelina mentioned, it's not new for us. We dealing with that high number of applications. Of course, I would not say that we saw it all, because now and then, yeah, we found somebody to surprise us. But assessing the motivation and the fit of the candidates is something that is core for the entire selection process in Teach For Bulgaria, and did not change during the pandemic and during the transferring to online selection. And it's happening in the beginning of the process. So during the online application and during the interview, we managed to see if the candidate is fit for the program, measuring not only what he's saying, but some beliefs and some opinions about regarding key topics that we are covering. And something that we saw. Of course, we analyzed the data from our last campaign, which was 50% live and 50% online. So what we are currently seeing is that there is no difference into the performance of teachers who are selected with live assessment center and teachers who are selected virtually, which is great news, because we have now the confidence that we can do our jobs in the online environment.
Excellent news. Now let's move probably to the most challenging, at least from my perspective, part, the onboarding. What I have seen in my team as a manager is that um, if we know each other for a long time, then it's kind of easy to move online, because well, as I said, we know each other, we know our strengths, we know how we work, so it's not such a big deal to move online. One experience that we had is that actually our colleague, our events coordinator, who is pulling the strings behind the scene of this event, imagine that his first day at work was the 13th of March last year, which was the first day of the pandemic. And you can imagine that the role that we hired him for was very different in our imagination than what happened in the past 12 months. And the induction, the onboarding had to happen 100% online. So we had to become one team without actually having worked together previously. I can say that we managed quite well, and in both in terms of reshaping the events portfolio. So Georgi became an integral part of the team and moved us to the online way of doing business very quickly, for which I'm very grateful. But again, the induction and the onboarding was quite a challenge because we didn't know each other previously. Is this something that you have experienced in your teams as well? Maybe start with Sevelina again.
Yeah, onboarding is my favorite part because this is the end of the romance period, let's say, and it's the time for the real work. So I will share some of our experience, how the things went with us in the very beginning of the pandemic when our office was entirely closed. We used to send home the fresh starters and try to switch to fully online induction training and onboarding. However, quite soon afterwards, our colleagues started giving signals that virtual mode is not as successful as we expected it to be, both considering the overall results and the integrity mode. So that's why in the beginning of June, when things were more or less settled, we decided to open the office, taking, of course, extra precaution health measures, and return their starters for their first about a month, and colleagues who needed support to improve their performance, and also the accompanying trainers and managers to support them. So quite soon our results went up, which showed us that that was the right decision. And since then, our office was never completely closed. Uh, Addition again, but we keep a presence of about, let's say, 15% of the colleagues, so that to give them a chance to get sure in what they are doing and to send them working from home. And with regards to the engagement, which is actually the most one of the very a very important aspect of the onboarding, we tried to stick as much as possible to the plans we had in the beginning of the year, just rearranging some of the activities to a virtual mode. So we had our virtual health and well-being month with virtual yoga and virtual healthy food sessions. We had virtual fun activities within the teams as our HR catch up with wine. We had virtual quarterly town halls, which are our regular meetings when we are updating on a quarterly basis everyone on the news in the group and in the location. We emphasized a lot to the mental health virtual tools provided to each of William Hill colleagues, regardless of their location, such as Employee Assistance Program and the mental health application on Mind, which we are availing being employees of William Hill. And we were, of course, lucky to be able to arrange some of the events with physical presence. Every team enjoyed a fun night out during the summer, and we visited and took care of the William Hill forest situated in Vitusha Mountain. When it comes to planting a tree, you just can't do this virtually, obviously. Sadly, it was not possible for us to organize a Christmas party. Still, we used the saved funds for a good cause. We donated the entire amount to support the medical treatment of a person in need who wasn't able to ensure these amounts herself. So all these things we did for colleagues, for people, just give a feeling of a personal accomplishment, quite seriously.
So in one word, you have been very creative in
We had to.
onboarding.
We just had to, yes.
Absolutely. Before giving the floor to Nelly, I would like to encourage all our attendees to ask their questions in the Q&A section. I know that we are very clear and everything, but we would appreciate your questions. So Nelly, tell us about the onboarding of teachers in the schools. Is this all happening online or not entirely?
Yeah, so last year, our summer training happens in July and August. So we didn't have a choice because we had to onboard 120 people and train them for 7 weeks, and it was not possible to do it in person. So our amazing training team adapted 7 weeks training program into an online version for only 3 weeks, and the result was impressive. So the satisfaction of the candidates, the participants, and the results regarding teaching that we saw at the end were comparable to the live training. This year we had the time to plan and to see how are we going to build engagement and to keep the motivation of people, because if last year we didn't have a chance, this year we should plan more carefully, because live events may be an option, but they may be not. So people are also tired of having that much online meetings, online trainings. That's something that we see also in recruitment. So in the beginning, everybody were enthusiastic, attended all kinds of meetings and events, but yeah, that was not something that we are currently seeing. So right now we are doing everything entirely virtual, and we have 3 main things that we want to be true for the onboarding and engagement and retention. First of all is consistency and understanding. We try to create an environment that we show our participants that we care about the circumstances of their life, the challenges that we have, and we understand that they cannot do everything as we imagined and as we planned. So what we are doing is to onboard them step by step. So we are sending them weekly emails with different assignments, different tasks, which help them to get to know the organization, to get to know their colleagues, to get to know the team and the work. And they can do that assignment at the time that they chose. Getting to know your colleagues is not part of your responsibilities, and takes additional time. So it may be better for you to do it during the workday, in the morning, in the evening, during the lunch break. It's up to you. So that's understanding of the preferences of each participant. And consistency is the other thing. They know that they will have a different task every week, and they are expecting it. And it shows also that we are not expecting from them to learn everything and to be fully onboarded into one month. It's not possible. And it's not possible to be onboarded into the organizational culture during this period. And now it will take even more time, because like random talks around the coffee machine are not a thing. So getting to know your colleagues and getting to feel part of a team, of an organization, it takes more time. And another thing, it's inspiration. So in addition to the consistent onboarding process, we still wanted our colleagues to be inspired and to be excited to be a part of our organization. So we organized some also informal events, of course, wine events, after the hard work day, but also sessions with motivational speakers, our board members or other supporters who can share their view about the education, about our work, and to give external perspective about the meaning of what we are trying to do and the importance of our job. That's what we are doing regarding our participants. For our team, which is smaller, less than 40 people. Of course, we have additional, we know each other, so engagement is the thing that we tried to do. So we organized some, of course, weekly lunches that we can just share food and share virtually the lunch, but we also really missed traveling. So we started a travelers club where 2 or 3 colleagues shared pictures and stories from traveling around the world. And also we started Teach Bulgaria's Master Chef, where monthly a colleague was cooking in front of everybody, and everybody were replicating the recipe, and then we had again wine and sharing the just prepared meal.
Thank you very much, Nelly. I'm certain that you can never make a mistake when you link inspiration and wine. Those two go together very well. Rosalia, tell us a little bit more about your experience. What were the onboarding advice that you gave to your clients in the different industries, and what were some of the industries that managed to adapt quickly, and what are some of the industries that were struggling a bit more?
Well, first, what made biggest impression on me is that this coincided, the pandemic environment in Bulgaria coincided with me expanding my own team. So I had this personal experience as well with onboarding online, something that we were not used to, because usually what we did was just share my workday as a leader with a new team member, my work days for the first month, etc. So some of the things that were my advice were things that I saw that worked pretty well with us. So the first thing was communication. Everybody requires a different amount of communication, different amount of help, support initially. So what we did with in our team is just have this slot every single day, just have this slot for communication, just have this slot for a team meeting. It's not mandatory, but if you need a team meeting, you can have this team meeting right now. So communication, being present, mentorship and online mentorship, because we did mentorship before physically in the office, but we continued to do so in an online environment via Teams, via different means of communication, in order to make sure that the new person can see the different types of professionals, how they work, to get to know every single person in the team and to get integrated into that team. And of course, organizations were very creative in terms of different types of team building events. I'm not going to go further into this, as we saw already some very interesting examples. But indeed, it was interesting year for HR, because the regular Christmas parties, the regular activities that were traditional could not always be administered at the same way as before. So we saw some pretty interesting online versions of those. But what I can say is that the virtual type of onboarding can be no different from the physical, but you need to be invested in it, and you need the methodology and you need the steps in order to make sure that the person feels welcome, that the person knows who they can turn to, that the person feels a part of the team.
Thank you very much, Rosalia. This brings us very smoothly to the last topic on today's discussion, and it is retention. You already touched upon it during the onboarding discussion. But again, if we need to focus on retention, Sevelina, what was the most challenging problem that you dealt with in terms of retention at William Hill in the past year?
Um, well, I would say that the problem we faced in the beginning was that uh, we needed time to understand and to adapt so that the new colleagues feel integrated part of our team. And how to achieve this? Well, I would say just three words: listen, listen, listen. To listen to the voice of the colleagues. And to achieve this, we had to switch to a survey that measures the level of employee engagement on a monthly basis. Before we used one which was twice a year, and we realized that with such slow pace we just can't be up to date, because you can imagine that after a survey done in November, December 2019, where we evaluated the results and drafted our action plan in January, February 2020. Then came March 2020, where all plans just needed to be completely changed. So now it's easier because we feel the monthly pulse of the employees' mood. And we stress a lot on working with the managers to upskill them. On one hand, being part of the big organization, um, we avail for module training for mandatory for each manager, which is on how to lead virtual teams. And in addition, we are upgrading this knowledge locally with interactive soft skills trainings that may support them taking the examples from best trainers and moderators here on the market. But yeah, it is to listen, to understand, and to react to the situation, actually, to everyone's need.
Flexibility is the key
Yes.
word for sure. Yeah, thank you very much, Sevdelina. Nili, tell us about retention at your organization. Did you observe some new trends, some changes? Did you try some new techniques?
Yeah. So what we found out after executing some of the onboarding and the training and the engagement practices was there are a lot of positives from this approach. The initial engagement of new participants, new employees, it actually improved because now they can participate in different time frames, and being online means that you don't commute, travel that much, and you have the time to additionally engage with the team. But over the time, some people got just tired, and the attendance of all those events was getting lower and lower. So I guess what we need to do is to have some face-to-face opportunities, some live opportunities in the future, to be able to network, to really get to know people as not only as professionals, but as human beings. And the blended approach, as we see it, can keep people engaged for a longer period of time. What worries me currently is that we will have, and we are already having, people who are recruited online, who are selected online, who are onboarded online, who are trained online. We have colleagues that are working with us over a year now, and I haven't ever seen in person. So we have to keep in mind that maybe the motivation of some of them will just be lower, and to keep them engaged all of the time, and yeah, to focus and to focus on innovate and to provide them with different experiences, being virtual or being live, if we are able to. But we as an HR function should be having a strategy that's based on continuous innovation into how do we actively engage current employers and new employers, and to keep them motivated.
Thank you very much, Nelly. Rosalia, what is your recipes for success with retention?
With retention, I would say very much individual approach. It is very important to understand the specific individual's needs. Some people have as a focal point of their needs, which determine their engagement and motivation, have the need and the want for development. Other people would want to work for a capable leader. Other types of people would find the most important social opportunities that the workplace provides. There are different types of motivators that stand behind the level of engagement and motivation. And what I would say is that it's powerful and very powerful for an HR to have the full information in order to know how to have the individual approach, and in order to advise the leader of this person how to have the individual approach tailored to this person, in order to not only retain, engage, but also to develop this person, and to provoke them to have higher productivity, because we know that engagement and productivity are related. What we've seen in the past year, which is different and interesting, is the different hierarchy of individual needs now, which is more related to expectations from employees for the employer to provide different types of things to them, like security, health, autonomous work, learning opportunities, and nurturing of the well-being that became also more important, increasingly important, when we're talking about work-life balance and the remote workplace.
Thank you very much. This is actually the last topic on our agenda. However, what I would like to hear from you while we are gathering more questions from the audience is your forecast. A couple of weeks ago, we had a virtual meeting with Dr. Kunchev, who is leading the nation's response to the epidemiological situation. And he said, please don't ask me about long-term plans, because the only thing you know for certain in this situation is that every plan will fail and you have to plan and replan and replan. Is this the situation as well in your organizations? Maybe start with Sevelina again.
Yep. Well, we can't plan, but we learned a lot. That's why no matter what will happen in the next 1 year, I believe we gained the knowledge to quickly adapt to the situation. So I can't say that one day we will completely return to what was before the normal. I don't want to stay in this new normal for a very long period of time, but I would expect something like a symbiotic between both, because working from home versus working from the office, hiring candidates, meeting them in person, or using online channels, these have both their pluses and minuses. So yeah, whatever happens, we will be ready for it. If we are not, we will learn.
Thank you very much, Sevelina. This is a very positive note. Nelly, what is your forecast for the probably near and long-term future?
Yeah. So as I mentioned in the beginning, in last year in 2020, we were more or less forced to go online, whether we were ready or not. But now we can plan for the future, and those plans will be imperfect. We don't know what is going to happen the next month, the next year, but we can still plan and have different scenarios, which is a luxury that we didn't have last year. So my question is, how can we build back better as the world is start opening again? Because yeah, we don't have what the situation is going to be, but we are seeing that the world starts to open a bit. We have now career fairs planned live in May, in September. We are receiving invitations for live events, but I can see that some people are anxious about going back to live events, to do live career fairs and to meet that many people from all over the country sometimes. So I think the best thing that we can do right now is to plan to be virtual, but to hope to have some physical events, and most importantly, to give people the choice. What do they want to attend? If they want to attend a physical event, make sure that we can organize the most safe physical event that we can imagine. If they want to attend an online event or interview or assessment center or onboarding meeting, great, we'll give them that opportunity. We can make decisions from our side, we can plan for everything, but just asking people in advance will be the best approach that I can imagine currently. Just ask them, what do you want? What do you prefer? Do you want to go live? Do you want to keep virtual? Just a quick and simple survey will show them that we care and respect their wishes and their own decisions about their health.
Thank you, Nelly. Rosalia, what is your approach to the future?
Well, I wouldn't make a prognosis because it would be difficult for it to come up 100% certain and true. But what I would say is that the past year and a half taught us to use online tools, taught us to use automized style of working. We're now speaking about gamification in terms of assessment, in terms of learning. We're now speaking of virtual assessment centers, and what we see as a trend is that employees generally tend to like this flexibility of working from home. Some employees also would like to see their team members. Probably the future is going to be some mix of both. Not all online, not all offline. We're going to see what is going to happen. But the good thing I'm taking out of this situation is that right now we do have a larger range of tools and automate solutions that we can actually use to help us in our day-to-day life and work, whatever the future may bring.
Thank you very much. We have a question from an attendee. Have you gone back to the office? And if not, what are your plans regarding the return to the office? Sevelina?
Yes, I will start because I'm very happy to share that we will combine returning to the office with returning to a new office, which is even bigger and nicer compared to our current one. So for me personally, yes, I go to the office because I have some paperwork to do, and I go to the office every every Wednesday, and actually I'm very impatient for Wednesday to come so that I'm in the office, and for Thursday afterwards to come because I wouldn't need to travel to drive through entire Sofia. So yes, I like both.
You like both, and you're planning in the future also to allow this flexibility to the teams in
Yes,
your
yes,
company?
we are we as a group are planning to provide regulated work from home versus work from office hours to our employees on a weekly basis.
So it was very useful to go through this exercise to see how it
Yes,
actually works.
yes,
Excellent.
and to see that we can.
And to see that you can actually have the same level of productivity, if not higher.
Absolutely, yes.
Fantastic. Nelly, what is going to happen in terms of going back to the office, in terms of your team? And I'm also curious to see your forecast about schools. Are they going to go back in the classroom?
Oh, wow, a difficult question. Regarding our organization, our team, we are having a flexible approach where if you want to work from the office, you have the ability and the opportunity to. You should just register before you arrive at the office, so we can track who's been in live contact with whom, and if something happens, we can inform all of the people about that. And I can see that people are using the office for some events like that, or some external meetings. They still prefer to work from home, but in the future, my forecast is that we are going to have some days in the office and some days remotely. And maybe it will be good to just have a better work-life balance, because when you're working remotely, you can work from everywhere, as you know it. And going back to the office will not be a requirement for the organization, because we learn how to be effective from a distance. Regarding the schools, so what we are seeing, unfortunately, is that online learning made the problem that Teach for Bulgaria is trying to solve even deeper. So the quality of education that people from low-income communities, low-income families are receiving is not, sometimes it's not comparable to what people from private schools or elite schools are receiving. Some of them are not able to attend, or did not get anything when and learn anything when attending. So the gap between the students who are performing poorly and those who are medalists and at some international some international events is going to be even deeper. So I think it is important to keep the schools open. And if the decision was up to me, I would say keep the schools open as long as we can. It should be the main priority. And if we need to close everything else to keep the schools open, I think we might consider doing this, because learning skills is not quite possible for everybody during online teaching, and the knowledge is not everything. Kids are learning social skills and 21st century skills during the education, and this is somehow missing in some classrooms in some communities.
Thank you, Nelly. Rosalia, are you back in the office, or are you still working remotely? And how about your clients?
Yeah. I myself am not back in the office, but this is because of a flexible solution that we have employed so far. So we have the option to work from the office, but we also have the option to work from home. And I, for myself, find that I'm more productive working from home currently. Of course, needing socialization from time to time, but not all the time. As for our clients, I would say that different industries again have different approach. There are some industries that have no choice but to return offline, to return to their workplace. Of course, there are some industries that would be more conservative, but I would say that technical, shared service, outsourcing types of industries would generally be more inclined to continue on with at least a mixed approach and keeping the home office tendency.
Thank you very much. We have an extension of this question regarding the integration of new employees once you go back to the office. Some of you mentioned that you have newcomers to the team that you have never met in person. What are you planning to do to make them welcome and part of the team once the office experience is regained? Sevelina, maybe start with you.
Yeah, I think I touched it a bit, but to say it, yeah, again, our newcomers, new starters are in the office, and they continue doing so during the uh, onboarding core skills training, which is about a month. And afterwards, they continue working from the office for about additional 1 month with the physical presence of a manager to show everyone what is he or she doing right and what needs to be improved.
Thank you. Nelly, how are you going to welcome those colleagues that you've never met and make them feel at home at the office?
Yeah, so first of all, of course, we make sure that they receive and feel welcome to join all of our informal events that we are organizing. In addition, we normally organize a team lunch where the person can just share a bit more about the hobbies and the beliefs and the motivation that he or she has to join the organization. And also we have of course weekly one-on-one meetings with the manager of the person, and we have a buddy system where the new employee can be matched with a colleague from other team in a similar position to help them just get to know the work and to share some challenges maybe, and to search for a solution. But yeah, it's a process. Being positive and being um, just open for a diverse a pool of colleagues is a must. We just have to accept that people are different, that they adapt, they integrate with different speed, and yeah, that helps.
Thanks so much, Nelly. Rosalia, what is your approach to integrating the new employees to the office experience?
I would say that this is a continuation of integrating them to the team online, definitely, and it would build on that further when people go back in the office. But definitely, it is important to have the team experience, to have the cross-functional experience, because what we usually get is a person is very integrated into the team when there are the right types of online activities, but sometimes they don't know everybody in the cross-functional way. They know, for instance, some person from administration. They've emailed this person, but if they saw them life, they would not recognize them. So cross-functional definitely is very important in terms of team building activities, in order to get familiarized not only with the small team but with the larger company team as well. And yes, as many informal and formal events as possible. Learning events are a good way as well to get to know colleagues, but team building events definitely formal or informal.
Thank you very much. One more question that we received in advance to today's session, and then I will ask you for your closing remarks, because an hour and a half flies quickly when there is an interesting conversation, and I'm personally very much enjoying talking to all of you. What is the role of the leader, of the manager, when it comes to remote work? What changed in the past year? What are some of the important skills that you saw into a good leader managing a remote team? Sevelina?
Okay, manager, just in few words, manager should be mature. Manager should be balanced. Manager should be patient. And at the same time, manager should be very strict when it comes to fulfilling job assignments. Yeah, so if the role of the first role of the manager in the organization is that he leads the team so that the team can execute their tasks with a very big quality. Yeah, it's difficult to be a manager, and it depends also on the team. But yeah, when having a mature person being a manager, then everything should be fine, I think.
Thank you very much. Nelly, you mentioned the word inspiration more than once. Is this the quality that you are looking for in managers, or not only?
Maybe one of the qualities, but I would refer to the word care more than inspiration. So for me, the role of the manager is to really care about the employees, and not only for the targets and for a certain project, but for the professional development and opportunities of each team member. So of course, the manager should keep the big picture in mind, should keep the focus and to give the direction regarding what should be achieved, and to track the progress. But the most important job of the manager is to really to support people now even more than ever, not forget their professional development, not to forget that there are still a lot of opportunities for each team member to improve, to develop some skills, and to be able to innovate, and to why not to take additional responsibility or a new role, no matter if we are live or virtual. So the role of the manager is to keep that topic on the table, because being virtual somehow is making us focus on the daily tasks, and the role of the manager is to bring the focus on what's important, not what's urgent currently.
Thank you, Nelly. Rosalia, what is the leader according to you in today's environment?
I would say first that the leader is key in remote working teams, because the leader sets the pace, sets the vision, sets indeed the big picture, and the smaller day-to-day picture of activity. And what has been shown as very important is resilience of the leader, of course, adaptivity to change, adaptivity to style of working, communication. Style of communication is very important, and more than style of communication, innate style of communication, what is more important is the agility shown or in individual approach to different types of people who may have another type of style of interacting with others. So the ability to outreach to the certain person, the ability to individually communicate in a way that is productive for the other person, pleasant for the other person, and also clear and concise is key when working remotely. What is also important is that many professionals right now who are not leaders per se do expect a certain degree of autonomy due to the flexibility. There is some flexibility in working hours as well, where it is possible. So on one hand, employees would expect a higher degree of autonomy, and on the other hand, this would indeed be again one thing that would be a subject of individual approach from the leader. And what is important for a leader, most of all, I would say resilience and agility, in order to ascertain what is the correct individual approach to this person, in order to inspire, motivate, engage this person, and to give feedback, negative feedback when required, positive feedback when a job is well done, in order to keep performance high and engagement high.
Thank you. And now is the time for a couple of sentences, closing remarks. Sevelina, what advice, if you have 2 sentences, would you give to the employers that are attending today's call? What should they take from the learnings from the past year and moving forward? Just your advice.
Well, I would try to say it in 2 words. So if employer is adaptive, and if employer is open to the to the candidates attracted to work to the company, then things should be fine. Yes.
Thank you. Nelly, your advice in a couple of sentences?
Yeah, so even that things changed a lot. Currently, the job market is still mostly controlled by employers. So my sentences, my advice is really for the employers to listen more for what people want, and to try to adapt and to respond to what even the candidates or the people in the organization are saying or trying to say, to seek their opinion, to seek their involvement in more and more decisions which are concerning the employees in the organization.
Thank you so much, Nelly. And last but not least, Rosalia.
What I would advise would be to definitely take what has happened and good practices that we have seen in different types of companies during the past period. Take and adapt what we can, because it is more important than ever to focus and to be methodical in our way of recruitment, in our way of selection, in our way of onboarding, as well as training and development of people in our organization. In order to attract best talent, we need good employer branding, good recruitment strategies. Remote working has helped with that as well. In order to be great at onboarding, we do need individual approach. We also need it, and we need the most information that we can get when we are trying to develop our employees, when we're trying to see what motivates and engage them. So individual approach, presence, and methodical type of communication, and style of designing our processes.
Thank you very much, Rosalia. I would like to thank all 3 of you for a very interesting conversation today. This is the second HR chat that we are organizing at BBBA, and we would like to continue with that. We had one, let's say, more like of a brainstorming sort of conversation with human resources professionals from different organizations within the British Bulgarian Business Association, and we see a lot of energy and a lot of desire for knowledge sharing, experience sharing. And we as an organization are very, very happy to provide a platform for that going forward. And hopefully the next HR chat that we will organize will be live with a glass of wine. Why not? It always helps to break the ice and to get the inspiration and creativity flowing. So thank you very much for your time today and for very interesting expertise shared with our attendees. Thank you for Lounge for hosting us, and to our attendees for being part of today's event. Looking forward to seeing you all very soon. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.